And I'm going to take an example to point out another example of timing. I'll give you two of them. Bill Goldberg and The Rock.
Yeah.
Bill Goldberg came along in WCW when wrestling was on fire. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything away from Bill as a character, as an athlete, as a performer, as a professional. I'm taking nothing away from him. But had Bill Goldberg come along 5 years earlier, or 5 years later, or 3 years earlier, or 3 years later than when he did, he would never have become the star that he became as quickly as he did. And I think the same thing is true for The Rock. Had they tried to push Rock as The Rock in 93 and 94 and 95 and 96, when their stuff was just weak, and before they started copying, the NWO era and called it the Attitude Era, if they would have tried all that before Stone Cold Steve Austin was there and before the Attitude Era had kicked into gear, before DX, all of which were manifestations in one way, shape, or form of what we were doing in the NWO 2 years earlier. But had Rock come along way before or way after that, I don't think Rock would have got over to the extent that he did either. A lot has to be said for the people that were there for The Rock to work with, who were already over like crazy. Whether it's Stone Cold Steve Austin or whoever it was with. Triple H. Triple H was a mid-Carter by anybody's real honest assessment, prior to the Attitude Era, prior to DX. Again, a manifestation, a ripoff, if you will, of the NWO era. That was their response to it. Okay? It doesn't matter. Once that happened, Triple H's star really began to rise. Prior to that, he was kind of He was there, he was great, but he wasn't, as a character, as a star, very, very, very limited. And when Rock all of a sudden came out of the different, characters that he tried early on and stepped into the Rock character, he got over, but he also got over because he had a lot of people to work with that were over, and more importantly, because the audience was at a fever pitch and they wanted more. Same thing was true with Goldberg. He came into WCW when the audience was at a fever pitch and they wanted more. And both Rock and Goldberg had enough character and enough presence and enough potential to kind of fill that void. But had they come along sooner or later and that fever pitch wouldn't have been there quite to the extent that it was, I'm not sure either one of them would be the stars they are today.
Well, and the real sad thing is that guy, The Rock, he really faded into obscurity after he left wrestling.
Yeah, I don't know. What's he? I hope he's not homeless.
I think I seen him building a wall earlier over here.
Yeah, I mean, I hope, because I've worked with him a little bit. I never really got to know him, but I certainly hope, he's not falling on hard times and struggling to make ends meet. I just haven't heard much about him since he left WWE. It's
his shyness. It's a horrible, debilitating thing,
Yeah, I agree.